missed connection ad pulled from our local Craigslist. Male for female, St. Louis. I'm looking for the woman I met at our local Schnucks market. I first noticed you walking down the produce aisle. Beautiful, blonde hair, light blue cardigan pulled tight, a yellow floral dress cut up above the knee. Not asking for attention, but wouldn't shy away from it if presented. I could work with that. You purposely brushed my arm as you reached for a head of lettuce. I could immediately feel the connection between us, like a spark that had been there for over 100,000 years. You responded, "Oh, pardon me." No need to be coy, dear. I know you just wanted to feel your skin against mine. I could hear the want in your voice. I should have taken your hints and initiated conversation right then and there, but I decided to play it safe. I looked into your angelic blue eyes and murmured the only thing I could muster. No worries. And there will never be any worries when we're together. As you pulled away to continue your shopping, you flipped your hair and I caught a smell of lavender. I never knew how much that smell enticed me until that day. It became my favorite smell in the world. I paced you through the rest of your shopping trip, far enough not to be noticed, trying to decide if I should capitalize on your advances and introduce myself. But before I could bring up the courage, you were in the checkout. I cut my shopping short so I could get in the lane next to you. I just needed to be close to you. Not blow my chance that you set up for me, and try to get close enough to smell you again. The checkout guy was making small talk, being vaguely flirty. I couldn't believe the frickin' nerve of this guy. Flirting with you, my love, my life, right in front of me. It took everything I had not to tear his goddamn voice box right out in aisle 6. But I kept my cool and the encounter was quite fleeting. We walked out of the market at the same time, you acting like you didn't notice me. Playing hard to get. So cute. You parked your blue PT Cruiser 3 cars down from mine. What a coincidence. Maybe you knew it was my car and wanted me to notice. Maybe it's fate. I followed you the 7.8 miles to your neighborhood. You live in a modest little bi-level in the last house on a dead-end road. I had to talk to you. I couldn't let this opportunity pass. I built up the nerve to ring the doorbell, but much to my surprise, a young girl of about 10 answered the door. I knew she had to be yours. She was the spitting image of you. She's going to grow into a beautiful woman someday, I'm certain. I ask if her mother is home, and as she turns to go fetch you, I sprint down the street as not to be seen. I chickened out again. The idea of you having a daughter has brought up so many questions, love. Are you married? Do you love someone else aside from me? That's supposed to be our daughter, our house. He could let some other man be the most intimate with you behind my freaking back. The thoughts dissipate as I see you come to the front porch and look around. You act like you don't see me, but I know you do. The way you hike up your skirt just an inch as you climb the stairs lets me know what I want. I couldn't get the nerve to go back to the door, so I returned the next morning. As I sit in my car with the sun rising behind me, I see the porch light flip on, and out you come to start your car, wearing nothing but a bath towel. Is this for me? Did you know I was going to be there? An apology for relationships that should have been mine. It was just a few seconds, but seeing what you decided to show me, I couldn't help but relieve myself to you. Right there in my car. I'm sure this is what you wanted. I'm catching on to your little game. So I'm going to add a stipulation of my own. As I'm not sure you read Craigslist, I'll throw out another way of getting in contact with me. I know the chemistry is here. I know the want is there. If you want me as much as I want you, wear that blue cardigan. I'll take that as my sign, as my green light. I'll rush back into your house and do all the things that you've been begging me to do to you through all your little nuisances. The blue cardigan, I'll be watching. I met Mary outside in a bar in the busiest city on earth. She was trying to light a cigarette with matches, but wind from a passing storm reached in and snuffed out each attempt. She tried moving. Then she tried shielding the flame with the sleeves of her massively oversized hoodie and the bulk of her long blonde hair. Eventually, the rain went out, and her pack of matches ran out. She plopped down onto the dirty sidewalk in disappointment, with the unlit Marlboro still between her thin lips. I ended the phone call with my sister and wordlessly offered my Zippo. She nodded graciously, lit the menthol, and took a deep inhale. Then, after a cough, stuck out her hand. "I'm Mary. Can I offer you one for the trouble?" I told her that I didn't smoke. "So you're standing outside, offering drunk girls ladders? That's creepy, man. There has to be a better story, right?" I told her it was my dad's letter. I told her that he passed away recently. This week, actually. I told her that my sister just called and I had to leave the bar, because we were in the midst of planning his funeral. The words just sort of tumbled out of me like a virus, and this poor girl who probably just wanted to smoke her cigarette in peace listened to it all so patiently and perfectly. I was hooked the moment she even replied. "Look, I can't tell you how sorry I am. I can tell you that your father's in a better place. I can tell you that everything is better. I can tell you that everything is for the best and that there ain't any sense in this shit whatsoever. But there just isn't. Life just sucks sometimes. It's not fair. And that's all there is to it. There's only one thing we can do." "Yeah, what's that?" I asked. "Get screwed up," she said. Her optimism made me smile. My phone buzzed nervously in my pocket. Cindy probably wanted to close the deal on the coffin. The stress of my father's upcoming burial weighed down on me like an anvil, but the mystery girl piqued my interest. I ignored the call and tilted my head back towards the bar suggestively. "Not here. I know a better spot." Mary smiled naughtily and produced a glitter-covered flask of whiskey from beneath her hoodie. I laughed. But before I could offer her a comment about the design, she did something that caught me completely off guard. She kissed me. Then she took off down the street. There seemed to be three options. I could go back inside, watch the band, and listen to my miserable friends argue about politics. I could call my sister and plot funeral details. Or I could follow the beautiful mystery girl with a flash of whiskey. I hesitated for a moment, and thought about it, and ultimately chose the latter. I sprinted after her. The rain made it tough to keep up. I shouted for Mary to slow down, and I caught up to her, turning a corner. She yelled something back to the storm. It was hard to hear. "Hurry, please." The alcohol from earlier started to kick in. I slipped and fell in the second turn. The storm turned into an avalanche of water as I surveyed my wounds like a baby. I ducked under a storefront for cover and awkwardly tried to wipe blood from the scrapes in my hands. I yelled for Mary to come back. I even went back out in the rain. A moment later, and tried to follow her path. but the city street stayed empty and creepy at 3 in the morning. No one responded. No one showed up. She was gone. I hope she just got turned around too. I hoped that maybe she just got lost, or saw the time and realized she needed to catch a train. But a voice in the back of my head said, probably thought I ditched her. That made me uncomfortable. We shared such a connection. The hopeless romantic in me felt like I missed the potential love of my life. And so, I did something creepy. Not something I would normally do. I posted to Craigslist missed connection section. I made an ad sound as generic as possible. It didn't even include her name. Mystery Girl from the bar by Port Authority. You kissed me and said to meet me somewhere else. I lost you, hoping we can connect again and tell me your name. 2 days later, I got a response. Is this Matt? Is all it said. I replied immediately and asked if it was Mary. She said yes. She sounded excited, and most of all, legitimate. She even described my clothing that night. We talked for hours, and Mary seemed even more perfect once we gotten to know each other online. She came from a single-parent household, and she lived in the same city. She loved pizza, and we communicated through text for a couple of weeks. We talked a lot about small stuff like that. I begged her to meet me in person. I asked to talk on the phone or video chat, or literally anything else other than text. But Mary always came up with excuses. I had changed the night of my 23rd birthday. Mary promised to make an appearance. She told me to make sure no one else came by the apartment. She wanted alone time, allegedly. And that concept immediately made my adolescent mind wander. So I cleaned up the place in a dazed panic and did my best to make myself look presentable. The last text before a meetup came at 6:30. See you soon. There's something I need to explain. I got ready and kept my panicked mind at ease by cleaning the place up. The time crept by, but finally someone knocked on the front door. At exactly 7 o'clock sharp. I rushed towards it, but something made me look out the window first. Thank God I did. Standing at the front door was a disheveled middle-aged man. He held a bouquet of roses in one hand. In the other, just outside the street's line of sight, he pushed a pistol up against the door. I called the police. The man looked around my apartment a little. I watched him from the window. He avoided the neighbors' suspicious glances. He tried to hide in the shadows. When the cops arrived, he tried to run, but they tackled him before long. I rushed outside to accost the person who claimed to be the love of my life. I shouted in his face. But the police begged me to go back inside. He ignored my questions. He scoffed when I asked about Mary. After a quick pat-down, the officer recovered his weapon. Then they pulled a second mysterious object from the man's coat pocket. It was a pink whiskey flask, covered in glitter. 3 weeks later, my Craigslist connection was indicted for second-degree murder. About 3 years ago, I was obsessed with Craigslist. I would go on there to find anything I needed. It seems more like an addiction now. I had just turned 17 and I was the only person in my homeroom class with a license, but no car. Of course, I went to Craigslist to find a car at a reasonable price. I was strolling through the different varieties of cars when I stumbled upon one in my price range. It was a 2008 Ford Explorer, only $3,000 at the time. I wasn't entirely sure why it was so cheap, but I was naive. I clicked on the photo and read the description. It seemed harmless enough. I wanted to get rid of this car because it was my wife's. but she recently died. I only need $3,000 more to give her a funeral she deserved. If you feel uncomfortable, I can bring my daughter with me. Quickly, I looked at his contact information and messaged him. It didn't take long before I had a reply and a day that we'd meet. I didn't ask for his daughter to come, since he didn't seem like a murderer. We agreed to meet the next day, and he'd only lived an hour away. The next day rolled quicker than I expected, and I had to hurry up and leave. I took my dad's car and started my drive to his house, where we had agreed to meet. When I got there, a chubby man in his early 30s greeted me. Our exchanges weren't anything to put me on edge, but he had an unnerving smile. After our exchanges, I called my dad to come get his car. I got in my new car and drove home. By the time I got back home, I was exhausted. I took a quick shower and fell into my bed and dozed off soon after. At about 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of a car door slamming shut. I rubbed the sleep out of my eyes and jerked up. I looked out my window and saw a car in my driveway that wasn't mine, or any of my family members. I saw a short, chubby figure getting out of his car with what looked like an axe. I was almost frozen, but I had the courage to get my phone and call 911. I had an 8-year-old sister, so I carried her sleeping body into my room and locked the door. The police didn't live far from my house, so I guess when the man heard the sirens, he ran off, because the cops never found anyone. I thought that was the end of it, but I was so wrong. Yesterday evening, I was watching the news and saw the police had gotten a deadly serial killer in custody. He was responsible for killing 27 people from Craigslist. It was the same man I had met. I had escaped death. They said his partner in crime, his daughter, had gotten away and was looking for people to kill from Craigslist that her father hadn't killed. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that bell notification if you haven't. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and even donate to my Patreon if you're feeling generous. Thank you.